Are you ready for next level growth in your business? Welcome to the Lindsay Anderson Show, where we pull back the curtain on the exact strategies, tools, and mindsets that build million-dollar empires. If you're hungry for more time, more freedom, and a whole lot more impact, you've come to the right place. Buckle up, because we're about to ignite your business journey. Now, here's Lindsay.
Hey everybody, welcome to this very special episode of The Lindsay Anderson Show. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. John Lee Dumas. Now I'm going to read an official bio of John's as we get closer to the interview. I have followed John for over a decade. He is one of the trailblazers for creating a daily podcast called Entrepreneurs on Fire that really took the podcasting world by storm. He did a daily podcast episode before anyone else was doing that, and his dedication to consistency really ended up paying off. The second reason why John is such a special guest, because he's a very authentic and transparent business owner. He actually has the strategy of posting his financial records on his website every single month, and he has done so for many years. This level of transparency I have huge respect for, especially in today's day and age full of vanity metrics. One more thing John is incredibly passionate about is niching down, finding a niche, creating a product for a niche, and really understanding that the riches are in the niches. John Lee Dumas is the founder and host of Entrepreneurs on Fire, an award-winning podcast that has published over 3,800 episodes and garnered over 150 million downloads. Known for his expertise in inspiring and educating entrepreneurs, JLD has interviewed some of the world's most successful business leaders, including Tony Robbins, Barbara Cochran, and Seth Godin. He is also the author of The Common Path to Uncommon Success, a practical guide to achieving financial freedom and fulfillment. With a passion for helping entrepreneurs create thriving businesses, JLD has built a multi-million-dollar empire while empowering others to find their own path to success. I'm so excited to welcome to the show Mr. John Lee Dumas. John, welcome to the show.
Lindsay, I am excited to be here. Thank you for having me. We have a lot of good things to talk about, and we are going to drop some value bombs.
You built Entrepreneur on Fire by committing to daily episodes, a level of consistency that's rare in podcasting and business. Was this level of discipline something that came naturally to you, or did you really have to work at it?
Both, to be honest. It came naturally to me in the way that I was always the type of person as a child where I only wanted to do things that I found exciting and interesting, and then I would go all in. But everything else, I just wasn't excited about it. Then fast forward to the age of 22 years old, I was commissioned as an officer in the U.S. Army. I'm about to deploy to war in Iraq. And I just realized that life or death scenarios are going to be based off of how prepared am I? How good am I at my job? How aware am I of my training? Fortunately, after a 13-month tour of duty in Iraq, I made it back. And I attribute a lot of that to going all in and focused, following one course until success with my training, with what I had to do to essentially stay alive in a wartime environment. And so when I decided to leap into entrepreneurship, it was the same thing. I'm going to find one thing that I can literally become the best at from day one. I'm going to go all in. I'm going to do that thing. I'm going to be the best. And that's what I do with Entrepreneurs on Fire, the first daily podcast in the world, interviewing entrepreneurs 7 days a week. The day that I launched Entrepreneurs on Fire was the best daily show interviewing entrepreneurs in the world. It was the worst daily show in the world interviewing entrepreneurs. It was the only daily show in the world interviewing entrepreneurs. And to me, there's a huge lesson to take away from that. Become the number one solution to a real problem in this world. Every word in that sentence is meant to be there. Become the number one solution to a real problem in this world. I couldn't become the number one business podcast in the world just interviewing people once a week, twice a month. So I defined the niche, something that wasn't being filled that I felt that I could fill. And that was a daily interview show of entrepreneurs. Here we are, 12 years later, 4,500 episodes later. I'm still going strong.
It is so impressive Now, you talk a lot about niching down, John. My question for you is when your clients aren't clear on their niche, what are some of the biggest red flags that you notice when that's the case? And what's the first step you do to help them?
They're not focused on their niche. They say things like, I don't want to cut off a potential lead generation source, or I don't want to have people think that this might not be for them because I want everybody to think this might be for them. So they want to resonate with everybody. They want this to be for everybody in their mind because they're inexperienced and they don't know how things work. They say, I'll just release it to the world and the right people will find my show. When you do that, you are entering completely saturated markets. You're entering markets that have massive competition, people that have been there for a long time, and you're going to lose to them because they're better than you. They're more established than you. They have more people that know and trust them. Casting that wide net means you're going to drown in the noise of that area, and you're never going to get momentum or traction with what you're doing. If you flip that around and just cast a tiny net, maybe even just a hook, now you're focused on a niche. You can become the best solution to that real problem. It has to be real. A lot of people have fake problems. What's a real problem? An actual pain point, challenge, obstacle, struggle. If you can solve for that in a micro niche, you're going to win. So look for one where there's no competition or weak competition that you can come in and dominate from day one. I chose a niche that had no competition, but if I had also found that maybe there were a couple other daily shows that were interviewing entrepreneurs, I would have listened to them. I would have studied them. Opportunity is still there because there is competition, hypothetically, but I'm going to come in day one and dominate them. So you have to get out of this mindset of, I need to go into an opportunity that has a very broad appeal and instead say, hey, what is a big idea that I have? But then what is a niche within that big idea that's not being exposed? Someone's not filling for some reasons. And by the way, there's probably a reason why nobody's filling that void. That could mean that it's not a great opportunity day one. But guess what? Being a daily podcaster in 2020 and 2012 was not a great opportunity. If you asked any single person in the world, including podcasters, guess what? I turned it into a multi-million-dollar opportunity a year within 1 year for 12 years straight now.
Love that. Now, John, one thing I've always respected about you is how transparent you are. You publish your numbers on the website. Has there ever been anything you didn't want to publish, but you went ahead and did it anyway? And how did you handle that?
No, there really wasn't, because I just committed day one to saying, hey, if we're going to do this, we're just going to completely have the kimono wide open. We're going to have my CPA. He's going to be on the calls to give a tax tip and to verify the numbers. I want to have my lawyer on the call to give a legal tip and to also be a person that's validating, because of course they're putting their professional reputations at stake. So they are just these individuals that are making what I'm sharing verified, real, because that's what I want: honesty, truth, transparency. I felt like that was missing back in 2012 when I was looking to get into the game. I was looking for people and individuals that were doing it well, successfully, that were actually making money. Everybody's passionate about money, which is fine. You have every right to be, and people that want to be private should be private. But it wasn't helpful to me to know if this was a real opportunity. So I said, hey, if I make it, I'm the kind of person that just wants to share it with the world. And I believe in a mindset of abundance. Let's help everybody get a little bit ahead and get better and have success in their life. From day one, we just committed to that 34 months in a row. We've published our monthly income reports. That's over 12 years.
I love that. What's one thing you wish you would have known before you started Entrepreneurs on Fire that could have set you up for a quicker or better success?
Really, the importance of engaging with people that find their way to you. When you say, this is the real problem that I'm going to become the best solution to, a lot of times people then just go into production mode, produce content, solving that problem. Of course, they see their audience grow. I changed this, but I wish I knew this when I started, because I feel like I had a slower start than I would have otherwise. You need to reach out and have conversations with those early audience members, the people that are engaging with you. You need to see if they'll jump on a phone call with you and ask them questions. And there's actually 4 questions that I love asking early stage audience, which is, how did you find out about me? That's a huge question, because now you can start to understand the ways that people are finding you, understanding how they're getting to you, to your business, and then you can amplify what's working. What do you like about the show? Ask that question, because there's a couple things about my show that were like little things what was one of the questions in my lightning rounds? I would ask, what's your favorite resource? I thought that was just like one of the 6 questions, but people are like, I love the favorite resource question because it's gold. And I've been adding all these resources. So that's something I might have thrown out if I hadn't been asking that question and tracking my audience. I probably could have learned things like that a little bit earlier. Maybe I could have even started a whole segment around that because people liked it so much. Number 2, what don't you like about the show? And just say, listen, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I know you like the show, but what's one thing you could do without? If you hear that from not just one person, but if you hear that from a bunch of people, maybe there's something to it. And then the last question you should be asking them is, what is your biggest struggle right now? Like, you're a human who somehow found my content, you consume my content, you like my content. What are you struggling with right now? Because you obviously know and trust my content and trust me, or at least you're getting to, and probably even more so now that we're having a one-on-one conversation. What are you struggling with? Because those answers can form a product or a service or a coaching program or a mastermind or fill in the blank that you could then turn around and offer to them because they are telling you what they're struggling with. You're providing the solution to them in the form of that product, service, coaching, mastermind, whatever that might be. And who else but you are they going to want to go to for that answer? They know I can trust you for listening to your content that you're delivering to them for free. You heard their problem. You created this solution. They're going to want that solution.
I love that. So for my final question, here we are in 2025. The landscape is changing because there's a lot of competition and AI is changing the game when it comes to podcasting and marketing. Can you speak to that? What do you think is the future of podcasting in this world of AI, John?
Listen, AI is going to change the world slowly and gradually and then shockingly fast. It's going to happen. Who knows how many months, years, decades that takes to actually come to fruition, because it could be any of those things, but it's coming and it's going to happen. The people that are going to lose are the people that are trying to stay status quo, the people that are trying to avoid change. And look, I'm a great example of somebody who would love for things to stay the same. I'm on top of the podcasting world. I have a great show. It generates great revenue. I live in Puerto Rico, so I pay 4% tax and I get to keep the money that I make. I figured out this side of things. I have a small team. I love if things stayed the same in a lot of ways. But at the same time, progress is good. Change is good. And so you've got to adapt with that. Things are coming out. You have to keep your finger on the pulse. I would find people that produce content around AI and start following them. I'm actually starting an AI course next week. It's a course that somebody else created, but I enrolled in it. I want to keep my finger on the pulse. I want to understand what's happening. I want to have an idea or two that pushes me in a different direction that might be new, different, and or exciting. Always be learning.
I love that. Be ready for the changes and not be scared.
It's coming.
All right, John. Thank you so much for being on the show. Before I let you go, let the audience know how to find you and anything else you want them to know.
Yeah, listen, all the magic happens at eofire.com. You can check out the podcast. The podcast is called Entrepreneurs on Fire. You can just search for that or my name, John Lee Dumas, in any podcasting app. And you'll get to listen to a daily podcast that interviews successful entrepreneurs. And I've actually started a new little passion project. So if you're at all a fan of Bitcoin and the company called a MicroStrategy that's run by Michael Saylor, I have a YouTube show. I started it 3 weeks ago. Just search MicroStrategy today. I found a niche within a niche. I didn't just do a finance show. That would never succeed. I didn't just do a show on Bitcoin. That's still too broad. I found a company that is focused and influenced by Bitcoin. One single company. I went all in on them. And I have the only daily show in the world that focuses on MicroStrategy and what it's doing and why I think it's an awesome company. It's called MicroStrategy Today. It's on YouTube.
I see a pattern here. I see a micro niching pattern here. I love it.
You got to know your strengths and you just got to focus on those. I know that I'm a machine when it comes to setting up systems and processes and sitting down and executing a quality clip. You'll never see my podcast episodes go much over 20 minutes because I think I can get everything that needs to be said with a person done in 20 minutes or less. Our interview here is 15 minutes or less. Guess how much value was delivered in that 15 minutes? In my opinion, a lot of value was delivered in 15 minutes because we cut out the fluff. We don't waste your time, the viewer. We just deliver you value.
Love it, John. Thank you so much for your time. Sure appreciate you coming on the show today.
Thanks, Lindsay.
There you have it, folks. Another awesome episode of The Lindsay Anderson Show. A big thank you to John for sharing his insights and expertise. Now, I want to make sure that you're aware of an upcoming masterclass that I'm hosting called The Social Media Sales Machine. If you're looking to generate more high quality leads with social media, you're sick of posting content and waiting for those leads and those clients and those sales to roll in, and you are a service-based business owner who wants to use social to really attract and convert those high quality customers, make sure you get signed up for my upcoming masterclass. During this masterclass, I'll be sharing my simple 4-step system on how to attract and convert high quality clients all through social media. All you need to do is head over to lindsayaa.com/workshop, get signed up, and I will see you live on Zoom. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of The Lindsay Anderson Show. Cheers to you and your success.
That's a wrap for today's episode of The Lindsay Anderson Show. If you loved this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share how you're leveling up your business. Want more? Connect with Lindsay Anderson and get the tools you need to crush your goals at lindsayaa.com. Until next time, keep pushing, keep growing, and turn those business dreams into reality.